Have you heard of the term glossophobia? That's the fear of public speaking. And according to statistics, over 75% of people globally have that fear of public speaking. But if 75% have that fear, we have to realize that it's actually an public speaking is an important part of our interactions every day, of our business, of everything. And today we'll be talking about that topic, public speaking, and how you can use tech to enhance your public speaking opportunities, how you can use public speaking to improve your business. And today, to talk about that on the Tech Your Business podcast with me is Juanita Wheeler. Welcome to the show, Juanita.
Thank you so much, Peter. I'm really thrilled to be here.
All right, thank you so much. So, now, why do you think public speaking is an important tool for businesses?
Well, public speaking is one of the most underrated business tools that you can have to grow your business. It is fantastic for positioning yourself as an expert at what you do. And it is also a really great way to tell more people about what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and what you're better at other people at doing. So it's really underrated. And it's true. As you said, so many people are afraid of public speaking. I hear people all the time saying, I would never do public speaking. But in truth, if you are speaking in public, be that at your workplace, in your house, down the street, you are public speaking. So it's something you're already doing. So why not learn how to do it well and use it to grow your business?
I remember, as you talked about people saying, I'll never speak publicly. I remember growing up too, I had that a lot. A lot of times we had to do presentations in front of class and all that. And you see, probably if it was a group presentation, you have people who would never be the person presenting. And so it's really resonated with a lot of people. So now, for people who have this business owners, especially who are held back from public speaking, what are some common reasons you've seen why they would have that thing, why they would say they would never speak publicly?
Well, I think it's probably a good idea to start with me. I did a public speaking presentation this morning, and I was talking to people afterwards, and they were saying, "I don't think I could do it. I'm an introvert." And I'm like, "No, I'm a screaming introvert. Like on the introvert extrovert spectrum, I am way down here." And I don't. And they said, "Oh, but you must love public speaking." I'm like, "I don't love public speaking." The reason that I started learning how to do it and learning the neuroscience behind it was because I don't like it. And so I was in situations professionally where I would put my ideas in writing because that was what was most comfortable for me. And I would put forward great proposals. I mean, I'm telling you, they were amazing. But somebody would get up in a meeting room, and because they were prepared to stand up and champion it, in person, vocally, in a meeting, their ideas would get up, even if they weren't as good. And so after, sulking about it for a little bit, which achieved nothing, I said, okay, there's got to be a solution. I don't want to do this. I don't like it. It doesn't make me comfortable. But if I believe in my ideas, if I want to champion those ideas, those products, those services, then I'm just going to have to suck it up and learn how to do this well, because this is going to keep happening. People who are prepared to stand up and speak and advocate for their ideas will get their ideas up, and I won't. So I think, I'm the typical example. The people who speak to me are like, oh, I feel really self-conscious. Some people have been indoctrinated to believe that filler words, saying ums and ahs and things like that, is terrible. And you have to sit them down and say, no, if the content of your idea is fabulous, if you are authentic and compelling and passionate, unless you're saying every second word, you're fine. So don't let that hold you back. There's a lot of imposter syndrome as well, particularly for women, where they've been told, forever, be quiet, don't be bossy, don't be too loud, just sit, be pretty. And so for a lot of people, it just makes them very, very anxious. They don't like being the center of attention. But one of the most important things, if you feel like that, to understand is public speaking isn't about you as the speaker. Public speaking is all about the audience. So if you believe in something and you want them to know it because you think it's going to make their life better, if buying your product, your service, understanding your idea, changing a behavior is going to make their lives better, public speaking is all about serving. It's not about you.
I know you talk about that being an introvert. I think I've met a lot of introverts who seem like extrovert because I too am an introvert. I hardly go out. I think apart from this podcast, I barely want to meet anyone. I tell people that up to 2 years ago, I never had any video on me online because I never wanted to be on video. I hardly even take photos. But like you, I started a business dealing with other business people, and I had to, because of Zoom and all that, talk to people online, and I had to learn it. And when you talked about having your ideas in writing, I remember when I was younger, when I had an office. Then we had a B2C business, so I didn't really need to talk to anybody. But I remember when we were in the office with the rest of the people, I would usually rather text the person next to me what I want than talk to them. And it used to be so funny.
100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just, and it's really funny because people, people think introverts mean that you don't like people, and it's not that at all. It's just extroverts become energized by engaging with other people. Like my two eldest sons, they're all my three boys are all adults. They are screaming extroverts, so they just thrive and get completely. Their battery gets overflowing when they spend time with lots of people. Whereas I'm like, just stick me in a house with, Netflix and and nothing for 3 days and I'm good. Sometimes I'll look up and I'll get engrossed in my work and I'll look up and go, I think it's been 3 days since I left the house. I probably should do something about that. And it's not a problem. But it's not that I don't love people and that I don't, enjoy what I do, but I find being on and speaking to lots of people, can be exhausting. But again, it gets easier the more you do it. So that's the other point. First of all, it's not about you, it's about the audience. It's really important if you believe in what you do, you're going to have to suck it up and champion it because it's really important and it also is great for your business. But, thirdly, when you do it, the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Very, very true. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Because when I started this podcast, I remember when I have an interview maybe by 3 p.m. that day, I'll be so tense. I won't be able to do anything because I'm expecting the worst out of everything. But these days, I just hop on and it's just so easy because I've done maybe 100 or so. So it's just almost natural to me. And most people don't know, I just maybe a year or two ago, I dreaded getting on calls like this. So now, can you tell us a bit about yourself? I can see the TEDx sign behind you, TEDx Brisbane. So tell us a bit about that too.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you. So I have sort of two main parts of my life. So one is Full and Frank, which is my company, which I run, where I'm teaching people how to do public speaking and develop their keynotes. And the other part of my life, or the other really big part, is TEDx Brisbane. So I'm the CEO of TEDx Brisbane here in Australia. So I run the overall event, and I also do all the curation, the selection of our speakers, and I do the speech writing with them and the speaker coaching. So it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. It's a wonderful organization, TEDx, and a platform. It's a joy. I get to go and find people in my community who are doing amazing things but have failed to tell anyone about it. So you keep finding all of these amazing people, where the scientific discovery, we had somebody, recently there was, that conducted the world's first breast reconstruction using a 3D printed bioscaffold. And then the next minute you're talking to somebody who's worked out how to make outdoor hammocks using water bottles. You never cease to be amazed by the amazing things that are happening in your community. And then you get to help them craft a way to message what they've done in a way that's accessible to people. So a lot of the people I work with are in very tech heavy or engineering heavy or scientific kind of backgrounds. And so they'll speak and you don't really understand what they just said. So you have to, like, that's fantastic for an engineering or a tech audience. But if you're trying to let the broader general public know about these amazing things you're doing, we need to make it accessible to them. So we need to change the language, and you need to speak at about half the rate, because I know you're excited and it just rolls off your tongue, but let's strip out the jargon, let's make it accessible. And then you get to share those with an amazing audience all the time. It's I always say, I start this every day. I walk out on the stage, every TEDx day, and I say, today's better than Christmas. And it is. It's our version of Christmas, because it's just every day is a gift.
Yeah. We always talked about communication being accessible without jargon. I think it's the main reason why I started this podcast, because like you said, most times when we are communicating about technology, communicate about technological concepts, we attempted to use these big words. And even for me, I might know the meaning, but it's not something I would use on a normal day. So sometimes you hear those words and you have to pause to think and, oh, okay, that's this. So at that point, you're just lost in the conversation or something. So I think that's one thing that's really important. Now, for TEDx, a lot of business owners want to give talks on TEDx to raise their profile and things like that. So what's the process for probably a business owner wanting to apply or give a TEDx talk?
That's a great question. The first thing that you need to know is that TEDx is a collection of thousands of individual community-based licenses. So we all have rules that we need to follow to make sure that we maintain the integrity of the TED and the TEDx brands. But individually, each event has the opportunity to make decisions about how they curate. So everyone has to, keep respect the same content guidelines, no political agendas, no junk science, all of that. But how they choose to pick people is based on local events. So people should look at what events they're interested in potentially speaking at. A really handy tool is if you Google TEDx event listing, and it will take you to a list that's provided free of charge by TED. And if you type in your country or your city, you'll be able to see all of the TEDx events coming up soon. And so that's a great tool. Also, if you're prepared to travel somewhere, check those out as well. About 50% of TEDx events, about 50% of them will have an application process. So if you're interested in a TEDx, follow them on social or subscribe to their emails, and they'll let you know when they have an open call for speakers. Our TEDx, and about 50% of TEDx's, you can't apply for. It's a tap on the shoulder. So at any given time, we're watching about 120 to 140 people who we think might have really great ideas. And then we, lovingly and completely legally stalk them and read everything that they've ever written, and we listen to their podcast interviews, and we work out whether they do have a unique idea. I actually have a blog post on LinkedIn, which, if people are interested, would really help. It's subtly entitled, "So You Want to Give a TEDx Talk?" But it explains that process. So at TEDx Brisbane, we use a combination of the two. So overwhelmingly, we just select the speakers, but we do run a competition every year, because we recognize that there are amazing ideas in the community that people keep really quiet and they don't tell anyone about. And so we do a 1-minute pitch competition. So once you buy a ticket to our event, you can send in 1 minute of you giving your TEDx worthy idea on a video. Our team picks the best 6 to 8 each year, and they get onto the red circle on event day and present their 1-minute pitch. And the really cool thing about it is 1 to 2 of our speakers in any given year is quite commonly a TEDx finalist from the 1-minute pitch in a previous year. One of our most successful ones, it was a gentleman called Dr. George Blair West. He gave a great talk, a 1-minute pitch about how you should prevent divorce before you ever get married. Like, while you're dating, here's how you do it. And he walked out in the break, and he basically got mobbed by all of these people with notebooks wanting to know more. And so we went, okay, cool. I think that's probably a full talk. And so we got him to come back the next year and do a full length TEDx talk. And after that, it got picked up by TED.com. It was a feature story on their website. He got a book deal. It's had over 4 million views, but it all started with the 1 minute pitch competition. So it's one of the reasons we love it so very much. But doing a TEDx talk is a really cool thing to do. If you have an idea worth spreading, you should absolutely champion it. And the best thing to do is start by finding out when and where your local TEDx events are and what process they use to apply for speaking.
How to prevent divorce before getting married. That's actually very catchy. So now for someone who wants to present an idea, and I think you said you curate the ideas that come in for TEDx Brisbane. What have you seen that makes a TEDx talk idea stand out from the rest?
That is a great question. So one of the first things we do is we're monitoring all different streams at any given time. So we're following in the media, we're following updates from universities, university alumni emails, all of those kind of things. So the first thing, that's how we usually get somebody on our radar. And so what really stands out to us is anytime anything says things like world first, anything that indicates that this has never happened before. Once we get excited about a topic and think, okay, maybe this is it, it's brand new. We're always looking for something that's new, something that's novel, something that's cutting edge or is going to make a really big impact. And once we get really excited about the prospect of that, the first thing we do is Google the main terms. So we'll Google the 5 keywords and see if with TEDx in it. And if we can find 3 other TEDx events that have had a very, very similar talk, then we won't do it. So we're really trying to make sure that it is new. So and that's that it is a game changer, that it's unprecedented, that you haven't been able to watch this on a TEDx talk before, because we're always trying to add to the global TEDx library. You're not trying to repeat talks that have already been done. So if you've got something that's, new and novel and exciting and it hasn't been done before and it's going to have a significant impact, it doesn't have to be a global impact, it can be a significant community impact, but you should reach out, find out how you can reach out to your local TEDx.
Okay, so an idea that is new, an idea that is cutting edge, and it's likely to have a big impact.
And again, big impact. You don't have to be flying to Mars or curing cancer, though that would be awesome. If you're doing any of that, please email me. But some of our talks have been, have had a really big impact, but just in a local community. Or sometimes it's a significant impact, but just for a particular cohort in society. Might be people with a disability. It might be people who are non-English speaking. It could be, any kind of section of society. So it doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be flying to Mars or curing cancer. It can be something really quite simple. But if you're showing it's actually having traction and making a difference in a community, then it's worth celebrating and more people should know about it.
Okay, so now let's move on to technology a bit. So talking about technology, I can see you have your headset, your mic, and everything. So what are some must-have tech items that a business owner who wants to go into public speaking, what are some must-have items they should have?
It's really funny that you asked that, because when I first thought, going onto a tech show, and I'm like, I don't use that much tech. And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I use so much technology. So, when you actually, and I thought about it in terms of, and then I was very mindful of it. So I was thinking about it today as I went and I did a speaking gig. And so, when I go into a speaking gig, first of all, I have my laptop. And then when you're going in and I have my slides, so I use PowerPoint. And when I do that, by the way, tech tip, if you're ever showing a video, do not ever rely on the internet to work. You want to embed all of your videos into your slide deck. Do not have a link and expect the internet to work, because you never know where you're presenting and what the internet is like. So that's all built in. And then I have, a hard drive with a spare copy in case something goes wrong with the computer. And then I have a bag a big bag, and it has basically every connector known to man. So because you don't know what the AV tech setup is going to be where you go and present. So I've got this adapter and that adapter and these extension cords and this cord and then audio cords and plugs and, you know, all of that. There's a lot of it. And then you've got clickers, and then in case they don't have a clicker, and then you've got a remote microphone in case something goes wrong with that microphone. And that is all in your bag. And that's just to do the presentation. And then and I use PowerPoint. I know some people use other things. Here's a tip on PowerPoint slide tech. Don't use Prezi. Unless you're trying to sell Prezi, don't use it. I've seen people either use Prezi extremely badly, like incredibly poorly, and you cannot pay attention, or they are absolute geniuses at Prezi. And when that happens, everybody in the audience is so entranced by the actual fabulousness of the software that no one pays attention to the actual presentation. Either way is not good. So I have that. And then the other thing that I have come to only start using really in the last year that has been a real game changer on the tech app front is I created a QR code. I just grabbed one in Canva. I use Canva, by the way, total also game changer. But I created a QR code, and I have a generic slide that has this standard full and frank QR code on. So all of my presentations have it. And the QR code takes you to Linktree. So I use Linktree now, which I can change at a moment's notice when I decide to, here's a new offer I want to run, or here's a new guide that I'm going to put up. I can change it very quickly, much faster than I can change and go and build a landing page in WordPress. I can put up a new link in a second, and I can do, and people who are going and scanning that QR code, it's the same one. So I don't have to change QR codes for each presentation, but they can always get whatever is my latest offer. And that has been incredibly helpful. The other things that I use that I just really couldn't live without probably is a speechwriter and a speaker, particularly dealing with people who say I'm a terrible public speaker, or I'll never be able to give a speech, or I can't speak and give a speech, is a program called otter.ai. It's a transcription piece of tech. And so when I'll do an interview, or we do a Zoom call with someone, because a lot of my clients are overseas, and I'll ask them very leading questions for things I know that I want to then get into a speech, and I'll record it and have a transcript of it. And then you can basically, because they'll speak and feel really comfortable speaking about it when it's with you, and there can be some absolute gems. And then you can pull that out and put it into a speech. So people who think they don't have a speech in them, use Otter AI. You will be surprised when you see these amazing things you said then translated into text. And once you take out, you know, some of the casual chattiness, you have a really great bones of a speech. But yes, there's lots and lots of tech that can be incredibly helpful. And some of it is things like adapters for every piece of AV connection known to man, but others are some other platforms. So, you know, Linktree, PowerPoint, Otter AI, they're all incredibly helpful. Canva is great.
No, I never thought about the adapters.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I'll just be there sometimes. I did a speaking event about a month ago, and the IT guy was there, and you know, I run on a Mac, they are using PCs, and you know, and he was like, and I just had this bag. I have a red bag. It's branded TED. And I'm just slowly bringing out one Apple adapter after the other. And he's trying, he's like, nope. And then I'm like, the next one and next one. And I think we got, I don't know, it was the 8th or 9th one. But he goes, that bag is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And he's like, you know, I need one of those bags. I'm like, yes, you can get your own. But, you know, yes, absolutely. But you only have to arrive at a place, you know, in my very, very early days of speaking, you arrive somewhere, you have this amazing presentation and this incredibly compelling slide deck, and then you can't show it because you just can't get it hooked up. And, you know, now I err on the side of caution. I have all the adapters, but I also have a hard drive that can connect into their computer if needs be. The other thing too is, you know, if you are ever going to give a presentation somewhere that has extremely high security clearance, like companies that are involved with defense contracts or government things, here's a tip for young players: send your slides a week ahead to them, because they will not let you plug any computers or any USBs into their system. So you need to send it in advance. But if nobody tells you that, you don't know. So if you're ever going to do that, send it like a week in advance.
Very, very, very helpful tips. And I think me too, I don't use USBs because I'm a bit paranoid about USBs, so I fully understand that. So now in the last 2 years, everyone has gone into a hype or whatever about AI. Everyone is using AI. And in this field of speech writing too, you see a lot of people using AI to prepare their speeches and all that. So what are your thoughts about using, okay, you talked about Otter AI, but at least that takes your voice and transcribes it. But now talking about maybe preparing a speech throughout to AI, what are your thoughts on that?
Don't do it. It's funny. I was my presentation. I was on a panel this morning, and we are discussing the use of AI. This came up, but in terms of writing your grants, and it's the exact same situation. Don't do it. People who are listening to it, people who are reading grant applications, will know. They'll all start coming in, and they'll all be very similar. I had a speaker last year for TEDx who we had been working on a script, and they got a little bit overwhelmed. And they said, "Hey, can I just do this instead?" and sent through something. And it was so obviously done by AI. And we just had to very nicely reply, go, "Okay, I understand you're overwhelmed. You've had a moment, but we can hug and make it okay. But there's no way you'd ever step on a stage of mine with this. This has clearly been written by, ChatGPT, and anyone could have written this. It's really ordinary." So don't do it. AI can be a great tool, but it's all about how you use it. So don't ever use it for your actual script. But let's say you had to give a talk on, let's say you were talking about, you've been asked to talk about the 10 essential things for writing a grant application, mainly because that's what I talked about this morning. What you might want to do, if that was a speech you were going to give, you might want to ask Otter AI and say, ChatGPT or your AI of choice, and say, "I've been asked to give a presentation on this topic. What are some of the elements or the topics within that you think I should cover?" And that can be a great way to get some ideas about the types of content you should include. But then you need to use your own voice and your own experiences and your own language to make it authentically you. So it can be absolutely wonderful in terms of making sure, "Oh, I hadn't even thought of that." Or, "Yes, I have a really great story about that. I should include it." So it can be really great for jogging ideas about, "Hey, these are things I should absolutely cover." But don't let it write your words, because it is a program. You are a unique human. No one has had the exact experiences you have. No one speaks exactly the same way that you do. In fact, the way you write and the way you speak are entirely different. We often find this with people when I'm doing speech writing with them. What they would write as a script, they write it like they were writing an assignment or an essay or a journal article. And then when you ask them to read it aloud, they go, "Oh, yeah, I would never say this." And it's because the way we speak and the way we write are entirely different. So the idea that you would not only not use a written piece of material and read it as a speech that you've done with your own words, but the idea that you're going to let a piece of AI that hasn't had your life experience, doesn't know your precise lexicon, doesn't know your history, somehow become your voice, is crazy to me. And also it strips that authenticity about you and what makes you, each of you, like a fabulous human and owning of your journey. Why would anyone want to let a piece of AI tell the story of their journey? It's just not a good idea. Please don't do it. But absolutely use it as a prompt to say, "I'm giving a speech on this. What might be some elements I should include?" Or perhaps you want to say, "What are some global statistics that I could go and confirm that relate to this topic?" So those kind of things could be great, but don't let it choose your words for you, because your words are who you are.
I absolutely agree with that. That's using AI mostly to brainstorm because I know when I started this podcast, I think the first two episodes, actually am guilty of that. They are still online. I'm not going to delete them. I used AI to write the script and they were horrible.
Honestly, I think everybody has done it, or a vast number of people have done it. And don't get me wrong, it is improving, but there's a difference between asking it, for example, and there's a big difference between asking it, for example, to write a HR policy on something that is, it's a document, it's a policy, it's a procedure. Write me a work instruction on how to assemble a table. That is a very different thing than asking a piece of AI to write something that explains how you do business, who you are as a person, your journey, what makes you special. Those are totally not innocuous things. That's not like, please write me a work instruction on how to assemble a table. I mean, ChatGPT, AI, go for it. Write work instructions on how to do that. Nobody's getting hurt, and you're not stripping away personality and authenticity from a human. But for the important things, your words are who you are.
Okay, so now for business owners who want to go into public speaking to build their brand, and probably they don't have many opportunities to speak publicly, what are some ways they can practice so they can get better? And are there any maybe tech tools or anything that can help them with practicing their delivery?
That's a great question. There are a few questions in there. First of all, for people who are just starting out and they don't have many public speaking gigs, there are lots of different ways to start. Starting small is really good. So if you work for a company, ask, hey, this month I was thinking maybe this is something I'm interested in that I think would help at work, or here's a new program I heard about, or a new piece of research. Can I have 10 minutes or even 5 minutes to just in the staff meeting tell everyone about it? It's a very low stress kind of situation, but it's a great way to just keep practicing. And then, hey, a month later, hey, I've heard something else. Could I maybe have 5 minutes? Doing it with friends. Sometimes people get together in groups and practice doing it, practicing things they're going to say in work. So whether it's a work event, whether it's a hobby group, whether it's a community organization, just find lots of little opportunities to talk about something and start with things that you're really comfortable about, and then go from there. In terms of the tech, when I work with speakers, and it doesn't matter if it's for TEDx or speakers that I'm speaking on the speaking circuit and I'm organizing a signature keynote for them, invariably the things that makes speakers fall down is when it's important to know there's different types of public speaking. So there's the public speaking you do every day in business, conversations you have. There's when you actually deliver a presentation, but it's not fully scripted. You know where you're going. It's a one meeting, half an hour pitch meeting with clients. That's not necessarily fully scripted, versus a really formal presentation where you were going to nail it. You've got enough time. It's up to 20 minutes, 18 minutes, and you're going to fully script it and you're going to rehearse it. There are a couple of things you need to know. First of all, the same way that your brain memorizes pop songs or rock music, and so you hear it in the car and you can sing along, or in the shower, and you have never read a lyrics sheet ever, is exactly the same part of your brain that can memorize a script, whether it's a long script or just a short answer. If I get asked this question 15 times, I'm going to nail my 2-sentence answer for that and memorize it so I have it anytime I like. So you just record yourself just on your voice recorder on your iPhone, and you just record it and you just listen to it over and over, just like you would a pop song you really like. And before you know it, you will know all the words. So that's a great thing to do. The other thing with speakers I work with, they'll usually say, I hate my voice on a recording. I hate watching a video of myself. And I'm like, yes, me too. But guess what? You don't want the first time you hear that to be when your TEDx talk goes live on YouTube. So how about we practice it earlier and you watch it? And then, rather than get self-conscious, I'm like, you're all going to hate it. It's going to be horrendous when you first see it. But that's so you can work out what you don't like and you can just get better and better. So these are all like tools that we all have now on our iPhones. So, or your mobile phone of choice. So you can just record yourself. It will help. You'll load it. You'll hate it, but get over it and just keep doing it and it'll get better and better. And same with videos. It works.
Definitely
It
take
works.
that tip. I'll definitely say that tip. So what final piece of advice would you give to business owners who are looking to grow their business through public speaking?
Public speaking is an amazing way to have people see you as an expert. So you need to get out there. One of the best and most underutilized ways to have public speaking advance your business and grow your business is to find industry-based conferences. So if you are trying to sell your product or your service to a specific industry, whether it's a real estate industry, childcare, it doesn't really matter what it is, but find out what are the leading conferences or expos that people from that industry come to and gather to, and then work out how to get onto that stage. Because the great thing about trade industry conferences that people don't really think about is that has been organized by people who have had to deal with the hotels. They've organized selling the tickets. They've done the marketing for it. They've dealt with everyone's dietary requirements. You didn't need to do a single thing. But if you can get on the stage in front of that room and they are all your target audience, then they will see you as an expert standing on that stage and they can be incredibly impressed by you. You serve them. You show you have expertise. You show you have skills. You don't hard sell them, but they will go, wow, that person was impressive and they were an expert. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to like them. I'm going to go and get a free guide from them, but I'm going to get in their world. And in the event that I need to purchase something in that sphere, that's going to be my go-to person. So work out where your target audience that you want to sell to is gathering together in your state, your city, your country, and work out how to get on that stage to be elevated to an expert in their eyes.
Okay. So for our listeners who want to maybe reach out to you, connect with you, or maybe work with you on improving their public speaking, what's the best way they can reach you?
They can either go to my link tree, which is at Full and Frank, or they can find me online. The website is fullandfrank.com. My company is called Full and Frank because I am very full and frank. Or they can just look me up on LinkedIn, and that's just Juanita Wheeler on LinkedIn.
Okay, so everything will be on the show notes and on the screen when this goes out. So thank you so much for coming on the Tech Your Business podcast.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's been a delightful conversation. And again, congratulations on your 100 episodes.
Thank you. Thank you. So for the listeners, I hope you got value from this episode about public speaking, about tech use of public speaking, about practicing for public speaking. If you did, please share it with anyone who has challenges with public speaking, with those 75% of people with glossophobia. And if you want to be the first person to know when we post more helpful content like this for your business, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe wherever you see or hear us on. So till next week, when we come back with another episode, don't forget to listen to the past episodes and keep taking your business. Bye for now.